attendre, pas swipe, pas scroll. Moi, na un affaire important pour dire ceux, Khmer. Boxe cambodgienne. Dans Maurice. Samedi le 11 juillet, nous pouvons faire nos premiers gala Khmer dans Maurice. Dans Côte d'Or National Sports Complex. Commencé et n'est à tout fini 6 heures. Et continuez cette vidéo là, pas swipe ni scroll. À cette heure, on a une bonne nouvelle pour annoncer. Billet pour gratuit. Ah, mon bien dire gratuit. Pena non pour payer. Comment pour faire pour gagner sa billet là? Je allo réseau Otayo, Road Rise Through Kun Khmer. Book ce billet là-bas, 0 roupies. 0 roupies. M'aurait dit gratuit. M'aurait dit 0 roupies quand je book. Chumbo. Pas vous là. Moi, j'ai un petit remerciement pour faire après vos comptes si je ne pas là. Moi, j'ai envie de dire un grand merci à Compassion Unite, à Dr. Ishan Shivanan et l'équipe UIH Foundation. Merci parce qu'ils se peuvent faire sa banzenne-là se crée une réalité. Astéa, qui était ça Kun Khmer là? Mais Kun Khmer là, qui était ça? La boxe cambodgienne. Nous n'avons fait par la Astéa, nous mettons une petite vidéo, comme ça je gagne découvert ce sport-là, comment les joli.
In 1920s Cambodia, fighters would wrap their hands in rope, coat them with crushed glass, and battle to the death in dirt pits. These weren't underground fight clubs. This was Kun Khmer, Cambodia's national sport. So many fighters died that the French government had to step in and create rules just to keep people alive. But that's not even the craziest part. By 1975, an entire regime would try to hunt down and kill every single master of this art. They almost succeeded, but what happened next would shock the martial arts world. Welcome back to Fight Legends Unleashed. Today, we're diving deep into the incredible story of Kun Khmer, Cambodia's national fighting art. This is a tale of survival, cultural identity, and the unbreakable spirit of a fighting system that refused to die. In this video, you'll discover how an ancient battlefield combat system evolved into a modern sport, how it survived a genocide that killed 21% of Cambodia's population and is now making waves in international fighting circles. You'll see why Kun Khmer fighters are feared for their devastating elbows, and why some consider it the original ancestor of all Southeast Asian fighting styles. Imagine an empire so powerful that its warriors carved their combat techniques into the walls of the largest religious monument ever built. This was the Khmer Empire immortalizing their deadly fighting system in stone. The year was 802 AD, and they were documenting something that would survive for over 1,000 years. Take a look at these ancient carvings. See that knee strike? Kun Khmer fighters still use that exact same technique today. And that elbow position? Still deadly effective. But these techniques were already ancient when they were carved. The fighting system they were recording was called Kun Khmer, and it was literally built for the battlefield. We're not talking about sports fighting here. This was life or death combat that helped the Khmer Empire conquer most of Southeast Asia. These warriors were so effective that an inscription from the 7th century specifically praised their science of combating. But how did they create such an effective fighting system? Well, that's where things get really interesting. The ancient Khmers did something genius. They studied the animals around them. Living in the wilderness, they watched how tigers attacked, how monkeys moved, how cobras struck. They took these natural movements and turned them into fighting techniques. Think about this. In the 9th century, one king, Yasovarman I, was so skilled in their wrestling techniques that he could take on 10 strong wrestlers at once. We know this because they literally wrote it down in stone. And get this, they took this stuff seriously, like really seriously. They had actual laws about fighters. One ancient rule said, "The brave must be esteemed who has proven his courage in fights." They even had official boxing matches ordered by royal decree. Winners didn't just get glory, they got land, Yeah, win a fight, get a rice field. But here's what's really incredible. These weren't just random techniques that got lost in time. The moves you see carved into those temple walls, they're the same ones that would eventually evolve into what we now call Kun Khmer. Those ancient battlefield techniques, those animal movements, that warrior science, it all got passed down generation after generation. The walls of temples like Angkor Wat in Bayon are covered with these fighting scenes. They show arm locks, hand locks, and neck locks, techniques that modern Kun Khmer fighters still use today. It's like having a 1,000-year-old MMA instructional manual carved in stone. But the real question is, how did this ancient battlefield art evolve into the sport we see today? To understand how it became what it is today, we need to fast forward a few centuries to a time when this deadly art would face its first major transformation. The early 1900s were like the Wild West of martial arts in Cambodia. The fighters would wrap their hands in rough rope, called ampa plork, or ivory rope. But here's the crazy part. They didn't just stop at the rope, they'd mix in crushed glass, dip their wrapped fists in resin, and even add a type of cement to make their hands as hard as rocks. Fighters fought for survival in this sport. The crowds would throw money, food, and alcohol to the winners. But get this, if they really liked your fighting style, they might even give you land. Yeah, you could literally fight your way to becoming a landowner in early 1900s Cambodia. By 1920, things had gotten completely out of hand. The death toll was climbing. Between 1920 and 1930, so many fighters were dying that the French colonial government had to make a choice. Either ban the sport entirely or find a way to make it safer. So the French did something unexpected. Instead of just shutting it down, they decided to revolutionize it. The French looked at this ancient killing art and thought, how can we turn this into a sport that won't fill up our morgues? They started by introducing things we take for granted today. Boxing rings replaced dirt pits, rounds were established, so fighters couldn't just go until someone died. And those deadly hand wraps, they were replaced with actual boxing gloves. The French created something entirely new. They took elements from Western boxing and combined them with traditional Kun Khmer. It was like a martial arts fusion experiment, and surprisingly it worked. The death rate dropped, but the effectiveness of the fighting style remained. What happened next was unprecedented. The French started organizing tournaments where their boxers would face off against Kun Khmer fighters. By the 1930s, something remarkable was happening. Each government minister and high-ranking official had their own stable of fighters. Even the king got involved. There are stories of King Sisawat dominating these tournaments, proving that Kun Khmer wasn't just for commoners. It was a royal art. All those ancient traditions, the pre-fight rituals, the traditional music, the spiritual ceremonies, they preserved it all. The Kun Khmer ceremony, where fighters pay respect to their teachers before fighting, survived. By the 1960s, this transformed version of Kun Khmer was drawing massive crowds to the Olympic Stadium in Phnom Penh. What started as a battlefield art evolved into a deadly street fighting style and had finally become something else. A national sport that preserved the soul of ancient combat while adapting to the modern world. The 1960s were legendary years for Kun Khmer. Cambodia had just gained its independence, and the Olympic Stadium in Phnom Penh was packed with 50,000 screaming fans every weekend. The whole city would practically shut down when big matches were happening. This was the era that created living legends. Every neighborhood had its champion. Every province had its hero. The top fighters could make more money in one night than most people made in months. And we're talking about guys fighting 200, 300 times in their careers. Think about that. Modern UFC fighters might have 30 fights in their entire career. The betting was insane too. People would bet their entire month's salary on their favorite fighter. But nobody knew it at the time, but this golden age was about to come to a violent end. By the late 1960s, the first signs of trouble were appearing. Cambodia was being drawn into the chaos of the Vietnam War, and a shadow was about to fall over this ancient fighting art. April 17th, 1975. That's the day everything changed for Cambodia and for Kun Khmer. The Khmer Rouge, led by Pol Pot, marched into Phnom Penh. Within hours, they began forcing everyone out of the cities. But for Kun Khmer fighters and masters, this was the beginning of a hunt. The Khmer Rouge had a twisted vision. They wanted to create what they called Year Zero, erasing everything from Cambodia's past. And Kun Khmer? It was high on their hit list. The Olympic Stadium, once packed with thousands of cheering fans, fell silent. Training camps were shut down, fight records were destroyed. But here's where it gets even darker. The Khmer Rouge specifically targeted anyone who practiced it. These fighters who were once national heroes now had to hide who they were. Some were sent to labor camps, others were executed on the spot. The Khmer Rouge saw martial artists as threats, people who could teach others to fight back. The numbers are staggering. Out of Cambodia's population of 7 million, an estimated 1.7 million people died during those 4 years. Among them were countless Kun Khmer masters, taking with them generations of knowledge. Some survivors later told stories of teaching in secret, passing on techniques in whispers during breaks in the labor camps, knowing they'd be killed if caught. Many fighters had to make an impossible choice: reveal their skills and die, or hide their art and survive. Some pretended to be simple farmers. Others fled the country entirely. The few who managed to escape took with them whatever knowledge they could preserve, hoping that someday they could return and rebuild. For 4 long years, it looked like this ancient art might actually be wiped out forever. But in 1979, the Vietnamese invaded Cambodia and drove out the Khmer Rouge. And what happened next would prove that you can't kill a fighting spirit that survived for over 1,000 years. When the dust settled in 1979, Kun Khmer was barely alive. The few surviving masters were scattered, scared, and many were well into their 60s or 70s. The art that had been passed down for over 1,000 years was hanging by a thread. But that's when something incredible happened. One of these heroes was San Kim Shon, often called the father of modern Kun Khmer. After living in exile in America, he made a decision that would change everything. In 1995, he returned to Cambodia with one mission: to bring Kun Khmer back from the dead. The challenge was massive. San Kim Shon literally traveled across Cambodia, going village to village, searching for any surviving masters. When he found them, many were afraid to teach again. 30 years of oppression had left deep scars. But one by one, he convinced them that it was time to pass on their knowledge before it was lost forever. These old masters, some in their 70s and 80s, started teaching again. But their methods were old school, brutal training that tested both body and spirit. They weren't just teaching techniques, they were passing on a way of life that had almost been erased. By 2001, something remarkable was happening. With permission from the new king, Kun Khmer started making its way back into the mainstream. The first national Kun Khmer competition in 2006 brought together 300 fighters, many of them trained by those surviving masters who had hidden their skills during the dark years. But here's where the story takes an amazing turn. Kun Khmer didn't just come back, it came back stronger. Those 300 fighters in 2006, that number exploded. Today, we're talking about over 70 boxing clubs across Cambodia, weekly televised events, international competitions. The art that almost died was now reaching audiences it had never reached before. Modern Kun Khmer kept its ancient traditions, the rituals, the music, the respect for teachers, but added new elements: professional rules, weight classes, international standards. It was tradition meeting innovation, and the result was explosive. The art that survived a genocide was now ready to take on the world stage. But first, it had to prove itself against other fighting styles. And that's where our story gets really interesting. While other styles snap their elbows, Kun Khmer fighters generate power from their hips. It's like throwing a baseball. The power comes from the ground up, through the hips, and explodes at the point of impact. And when you get hit by one of these, well, let's just say there's a reason why more Kun Khmer fights end by elbow than any other strike. A complete Kun Khmer fighter needs to master 4 types of strikes: punches, kicks, knees, and those legendary elbows. Then there's the clinch game, and this is where things get really technical. Before every match, fighters perform a ritual called the Kun Khmer. This isn't just some fancy dance. It's a centuries-old tradition that connects modern fighters to their ancient warrior ancestors. During the Kun Khmer ceremony, traditional Khmer music fills the arena. We're talking drums, oboes, and cymbals playing ancient rhythms. The music is an essential part of the fight. It starts slow during the ritual, then builds up with the action, getting faster and more intense as the fight progresses. When the crowd gets hyped, they even clap along with the drum beats. It's like nothing else in martial arts. There are actually 17 different variations of this sacred ritual, each based on characters from the Ramkar, Cambodia's version of the ancient Indian epic, Ramayana. This shows you just how deep the cultural roots of this art go. It's not just about fighting, it's about preserving a piece of Cambodia's soul. Today, Kun Khmer fighters are making waves on the international stage. Organizations like One Championship are giving these warriors a platform to show their skills to the world. Fighters like Chaque, with his mind-blowing record of 221 wins, are proving that Kun Khmer can hang with any fighting style out there. Female fighters like Nous, are also breaking barriers and showing that Kun Khmer isn't just a man's sport. She made history by defeating Thai superstar Rika Ishige in her One Championship debut, proving that Cambodian fighting spirit knows no gender. In Cambodia today, there are about 70 boxing clubs nationwide, and the sport is growing faster than ever. Young kids are learning not just the techniques, but the values that come with being a Kun Khmer fighter: discipline, respect, and that unbreakable warrior spirit. So where does Kun Khmer go from here? Well, Cambodia isn't playing around. The government has created a special committee to document and research the sport, building new training facilities, and supporting their fighters like never before. And here's something wild. In 2011, there were about 1,000 registered boxers from 78 martial arts schools. Today, that number has exploded. We're seeing Kun Khmer gyms opening up, not just in Cambodia, but in the United States, Europe, and Australia. The art that almost died out is now spreading across the globe. So what do you think about this incredible martial art?
Hey, si t'as coupé cette vidéo là. Merci beaucoup de ta faute.
Mauritius falls in love with Kun Khmer. Maurice tombe amoureux du Kun Khmer. A bond between islands, a legacy to share. Un lien entre les îles, un héritage.